everyone. Welcome to Offsite Dirt Network. We're talking about high performance build. I'm Shaun St-Amour in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and excited to have my friends here to look at some more insulated concrete foundation work with Aaron and Mark. Over to you guys.
That's right. We saw some rebar. Please go back and take a look at an earlier segment we did. But we're joined by Aaron Jones, Big Dog Construction, and insulated concrete forms are really hot right now. And he always chronicles the first time he used these as we're walking through this. So, Aaron, why don't you pick us up where we need to hone in on your project?
Thanks, Mark. I'm Aaron Jones, carpenter and a builder on Grand Manan Island in New Brunswick, Canada. This is not the first time I've used ICF. I've been using ICF for well over 20 years. Specifically, I've used a lot of Nudura, but this is the first time we are doing a Monopour with ICF. So it's a little different process. There's some lessons learned here, and there's a couple things that probably are taking a little bit longer. But in the end, I think this may be the evolution of ICF. So here we have the Monopour, the HD Monopour bracket. And as you can see, Kelsey was demonstrating how that goes up and down. And this is a cool little feature of that Monopour bracket from Fabform Industries. If I get another look here, I'll pause it, but there's two tiny little pins on it that go right up against the screw strip. And that keeps that bracket from crushing into the ICF, which is a problem with a lot of things that you attach to ICF. You start to disturb or room that foam. That's a little bit of a close-up of some of the rebar and form lock that is going into this project. A 12-inch 15M rebar mat. So that's a ton of steel going into this little tiny project. And just for context, the footprint is a little bit better than 34 by 13. So essentially we have a relatively small foundation. If you were talking to Steve Basic, he might even call it a service corridor. Lots of little details happening. And as you can see, it looks like the ICF is sitting literally on the ground. And that's where these Monopour brackets and the Fastfoot are going to come into play. In fact, right now, we're getting ready to start finding that high point so we can start literally screwing the foundation up, jacking the foundation up. So in addition to getting it to elevation with a laser level, we want to ensure that it's level inside and out. You could do that with a laser level, but this is part of expedience, if you will. We did learn a
Look at that
few lessons.
adjustability that you just did right there. That's incredible. That is fine tuning at its best, Aaron.
It really is. We did learn that we've got to take it kind of close and then go back and dial it in. Again, lessons learned. The first time you do anything, it's always going to take just that little bit longer. I should mention that overall, we weren't that far off the hours for a conventional pour of the size. So that bodes well for the future.
And that's a great part right there, Aaron, because like again, when we look at innovation, new technology, everyone's going to compare it, being like, "Oh, well, we used to do it the old way," and sometimes it's not right or wrong; it's just the old way. And when you're looking at this particular system where you're creating a wall with already the sweater attached to it with the forms, it's a great looking product.
Yeah, I always bring that up too, is like the Model T was a great vehicle in its day.
Yep.
And the mechanic for a Model T was amazing in his day. But would you get him to work on your pickup truck today? Probably not. Things
He'd probably
evolve,
be
things
pretty
move.
old too.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So
What's
there's some
nice now is,
lessons.
you're really diving into like the millimeters where a lot of times, you put your thumb up and you're like, oh yeah, it looks good. Here you're like, no, it's very precise.
So we actually ran into a couple of problems here, and a lot of it does have to do with our ground prep. Um, and this was 100% on us. It's typically when we end up with rock like this, we get our excavation contractor to bring in some crushed rock and get us like a dead level pad.
Yeah.
We didn't do that on this one. And that was, like I said, on us. And it added to some frustration here. In the process of pinning down these Monopour brackets, we actually shoved the foundation a little bit out of square. Not like a lot, but enough that it was noticeable. And that's why we're checking things per square and we're dialing it back in here because I knew something was off and I had to find it. That's probably me ranting about how things need to be squared back up.
And Aaron, in your climate zone again, how far down do you need to dig to get past the frost line?
So to get past the frost line, we are 1.2 meters, 4 feet, but sometimes you cannot get there. The
Yeah.
island of Grand Manan was formed by a volcanic rift. So similar to a volcano, only difference was the ground parted and the earth essentially boiled up. There was no
Got it.
actual eruption. Just see, we actually had to ask the camera person, Gina, for help to shove this foundation around so we could get it squared up. But that is essentially the end of that section there. And we're getting close.
I would also like to add, Aaron, that on this sunlight reflection day, with things happening to and fro, your eyes are protected from our friend Peter at High Specs.
Peter is a good friend, and those have been probably one of the greatest things I did for myself in 2025.
Excellent. Fantastic. All right. Well, there we go, Aaron, Mark. We looked at another portion, another day in the world of big dog construction, looking at ICFs and some of the details of being able to build a foundation and a footing with a sweater attached to it and be able to then work on those control layers. So, all part of the high performance building methodology that we keep talking about here on Offsite Dirt. Take care, everyone.